In our previous videos, we looked at how to set up and use both Doctopus and Goobric in distributing and grading student assignments. Now I've come back into that original document and I've changed these from exclude back to being blank, as if this was a full class, just a little housekeeping. And I wanted to call your attention to one other thing with this file that we didn't look at in the last video. You know, we did all of our management through this particular screen, but notice that a new tab was created for us. And this is now reflecting the fact that I did multiple assessments of that student's document. So you can see that here the first one had a 2.99 and then I changed that to a 3. That was really the extent of it. I didn't include an audio file in the second assessment, but there's just a history here so that you don't lose that as you do multiple assessments. You don't lose the history. You know, it'll update the count here. It'll give you either your latest version or your average up here, but you can always go back and look at the actual individual assessments. Those rubrics will also be included on the document itself, so it's not that one replaces another. If I did 3 or 4 assessments on this particular assignment for this particular student, they would all appear on the document, the latest being up on top and the oldest being down at the bottom. Okay, with that being said, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to use this information. I don't want to have to enter first name, last name, email for my second assignment. I'd like to be able to use that over again. So let's take a look at how you create subsequent assignments after your first. First, I will close this assignment. And next, in this space, in the same space that I did my first assignment, I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. Let me give it a good name so that I don't lose track of what this actually is. So I'm going to say ELA period 1. Assignment 2. Okay, and I'll have to go back to my add-ons, Doctopus, and launch it. Now this process should be a lot quicker than the first one. So because I've done a lot of that work up front, I'll still have to click through the steps and do certain things, but it should be a little quicker anyway. My mode. Now in a later video we're going to look at how to work with Google Classroom, but for right now I'm going to pretend that I'm not using it, and I'm just going to pick distribute drive resources. You'll see that previous things I've done are listed in here, so I'm going to go back to that ELA period 1 information. It has the information that I want in there, and I am going to say I want to use that roster. It'll take a second or two, but it's going to just pull out the first name, last name, email address, and student folder key so that it can continue to save work in that same student folder. So each student is going to get a particular folder, and then all my assignments will go in there, which is a nice way to organize it. Notice there's an update this sheet option here. So if I were to go in and add another user, first name, last name, email address, in that original document, I could use this update link to add that over here and make them part of this class. And that's a great feature because as students come to your class later in the year, you can include them very easily without a lot of work. But for right now, I'm just going to click Next. It'll take a second or two, and very shortly it'll bring me to my screen. And I want to use the same type of assignment here. I want to do an individual assignment, so everybody is going to get their own copy of this. How about the rest of the class? No, they don't have access to this, or they do have access to comment. We looked at this previously. The access level of the student themselves should be to edit, unless you're just distributing some information for them to read. but if they're going to participate in this with this document, they'll have to have edit access. I do generally want to limit their sharing permissions, just a little more control. However, if I had an assignment that I wanted them to be able to work on in a group or with a partner, I could leave that unchecked and leave that up to them. Okay, co-teachers. So I can put that in here and just say save and continue. Take a few seconds here. And there you go. It wants to know where to hold this. I kind of stay with the default so all my stuff is organized as long as it's named well. You shouldn't have any problem determining what it is. Select the resources from the template. So somewhere in here, oh, I have a document that was assignment 2. So that's the one I created in advance for them. I'm going to save and continue. Okay, I can send them this optional email so that they know the assignment is now ready. Include the student folder key in there, and that'll give them a link to get in to the folder where they can choose the appropriate assignment. So let me we'll take a look at this time around. So we're going to say first name, your assignment is now available. Please open assignment 2 from the shared folder. And down here I'll just student folder key, put my name. One thing I haven't done yet is I could either create a new folder or choose an existing folder. Generally I want to create a new folder so it makes a folder per assignment. And that's going to just what I think is the easiest way to organize that. I'm going to save and continue. And now it's populating. And run copy and share, and it's going to distribute those out to students. Take a second or two to do that. You can see here it's keeping you updated about what's going on. Two out of 6 completed, 3. Okay, so with a larger class it may take a couple of minutes to do this. And 6 out of 6. Manage and assess this assignment. And I get my main screen here. This is where I can add a Goobric. I'm not going to go through that again because we've just referred to the previous video if you want to know how to use a Goobric with this. Now, all this being said, one option that I might use when doing this is I might create a roster file with just first name, last name, and email, and then actually use that, create a second spreadsheet for my first assignment. That way that information is not embedded in my first assignment, but as a separate sheet. And that's just an organizational strategy. There's no reason you can't do it the other way. It just appeals to me in the sense that that document is a roster by itself, and then the assignments are created independently. Okay, well that's the basics of how to use this in a non-Google Classroom mode. In our next video we're going to look at how to do that in a Google Classroom environment.